G'day guys, Calvin, Jason, Cartoon Company in New Zealand. So it's time for us to play with a Tonka toy. And it's a little bit different. So this is the before we've repaired it. We're going to repair it and come back to it. There's some other stuff that we need to do to it. It happens to be a green Hilux. Now it's actually sitting on a different chassis. And that is where the problem comes. And that's why it is here for us to fix. We look inside, and of course it's got a UZ in it. It's got an auto stick in it. It's got a shifter, quick shifter. There's no holes for the four-wheel drive. And you'll see here there are some body lift blocks. But it's a pretty cool wagon in there. It's an extra cab Hilux. You can see it's got the auto. Under there, of course, it's got the 1UZ. And up there, it's got a cert plate. So over here in New Zealand, when a vehicle's got a cert plate, it has to match the cert plate to make it legal. And it should be checked each time it goes in for a warrant. This one's got some stuff on there. And it says for the wheels, it says 16s by 7, front and rear. It's got 24-inch wheels on it, so they don't match. And that's where the fun really starts to become evident. To get the big wheels on, it's had a body lift put on it, which isn't listed on the cert plate. It was picked up when it was taken in for a warrant that didn't have the right bits in it. And it's here today for us to fix the body lift and what was sprung on us as wheel spaces as well. Plus we've got to just give the engine a bit of a check over and check it's going to be reliable. So we'll come down to that later on, but let's focus on that body lift stuff at the moment. So in the front here, what they've done is there's a 3-inch lift block. This is smaller than the mount it's sitting on. Being 3 inches, it becomes a problem as well. This one's actually not too bad. The mount is a factory one, and it looks to me like it's the factory surf mount, chassis mount. But up here again, we've got to put a square section, box section, not suitable onto the mount. It's the stuff up as well. So, but that's not the worst of them. The worst one comes when we get to the back one. Now the back one isn't attached properly onto the chassis, and certainly in no way is that legal over here. Normally, I think there's a difference, and some of these have an extra mount. If it was a surf, it would have, I think a surf would have a mount here. I'd have to check against them, but that should be sort of have another mount there. Because it's a Hilux, we don't need that one. But we need to address this here. And this one not actually having lift blocks in becomes another problem. The tray isn't very sexual either. It's attached poorly, and I've actually put a load strap because the little clips in there aren't attached either. With this one, we need some consistency through it. So we either needed, and we could, with a big rigmarole, possibly get away with a 3-inch lift blocks everywhere, but it's not ideal. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase the size of the number 1 mount. We're going to lift it an inch, and then we're going to put a 2-inch block on it. Number 2, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lift the whole mount up, make sure it attaches to the chassis properly, and put a 2-inch lift block on it. To make number 3 correct, we're going to have to drop it. Try and make, we're running out of chassis room, there's not really anywhere to put it. Now that's inconvenient as well. 3rd time. Sometimes in the middle of these videos, I lose track when people ring me to say, I've got a 1UZ and what's this problem and how do I solve it? So, back to this one. We're running out of room on the chassis at the back to make a mount. So we actually have to drop the back mount to add the 2-inch block. And the goal is we're going to have it certified for modified body mounts and a 2-inch lift, instead of having a 3-inch lift, which is just a massive hassle to get it through, and lots of testing and sway tests and stuff. Not interested. The next problem we've actually come up and we were hit with today is the wheel spaces for these wheels is a problem as well. And I've been reading the rules, and there's lots of issues in here because this still has a front axle in it, still has 4-wheel drive if it was all wired up by a suitably qualified person, me or him. I can make him do it. But that isn't on our list at the moment. It's a street toy, not intended at this point to be made 4-wheel drive, but I think it'd be a pity to lose that down the track if it changed owners. I've got to get the tacho going and a few other bits and pieces around it to sort it out. And that's not going to be too much of an issue. The main focus at this point is sorting out some chassis mounts. So once we're actually done, we're finished here, we'll come back to you, we'll show you what we've done, and hopefully people, if they want to do a body swap, put a Hilux body on a Surf chassis or anything else, or vice versa, they'll get a bit more of an idea of how to do it properly over here in New Zealand. So we'll talk to you when we're done. Come back to you really soon. And my pocket's ringing yet again. Pretty good. I'm glad you rung. Perfect timing, because I wanted to chat about a couple of jobs. So that was a phone call that I wanted to take. Just a good idea when you're doing a job like this is to ring the cert man before you go ahead and do something that's a little bit unusual. For the normal stuff, he's not really that interested. He doesn't want to talk to you. And the rules are online for a lot of stuff. But this one, a bit unusual. Best to make the call beforehand so he knows what you're doing before you do it. I'm going for a bit of a test drive, see what this is like, see what else I put on the list. You have to put, when you put the bolt through, you have to put like a 50 billion washers and another bolts on there as a spacer. That works really, really well. Yeah. So the idea is here we're going to take that out. We're going to put a 2-inch proper block in it, and we're going to raise this by 1 inch somehow. So that looks really simple. Basically, same deal. We're going to put one of those above it. Yeah. So that sits on nicely. That should sit in there. And this needs to be moved up suitably.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Again, we just buzz it right off. Build a mount that goes up to the right spot. And I think that's actually the place to start. I think number 2 is the place to start more than the front, because nothing has to move as such.
It's all locked up, yeah.
Yeah, mate. So that, and yeah, and it goes up. This one comes up and across. Side bits on it, bolted all the way to, it goes all the way to the side. Job done. Thank you very much. Yep. And I think we just cut it off and start with the new one.
Yeah, that's the easiest way, I think.
I think that one. Okay, so that's number 2 is really easy. Number 3 is a fuck up. Number 3 is a pain in the backside, because what they've got is they've got no mount left on the chassis. There's nothing in there. No. So this one's actually going to be dropped because it's bolted to the body. So it actually needs to come down to fit a 2-inch block in there, and there's not much chassis left.
No, yeah, I gotcha.
So we've probably got to do like a dropper. It's got to drop down. It's got to work backwards. Probably should look at that tacho as well, because it's not doing 3000 RPM at the moment. And this has got a ratchet shifter in it. Reverse. Neutral. It's time to do the after bit on this green Hilux. It's had the mounts done for the body. And there is more to do on it. Of course, that tacho. And we've got to do a measure up on the wheels. But let's have a look at what we've done, how the body mounts have come up. And I actually was able, quite fortunate, to go pop to see the certifier. I was in there doing another job, and via the photos he was happy, but that could change when it gets there on the day. And the problem with this body was never designed for this chassis, and so we're trying to make it look standard, have it at a standard height, but it never was a standard height. And it's to do with that back mount is the big issue here. It's a long way down. So let's start at the back. You can see under here, there's the factory body mount, and there is now a 2-inch lift block on top, and there's a nice new mount welded onto that chassis. Now, to get it any lower, let's have a look, see if we can see it in here. In here has actually been trimmed out as it is. So to sit the body any lower, this would all have to be cut out to sit it down on this body. And that's part of where we're having a few issues. So we're trying to make it look like it's got a 2-inch body lift in it. And this is probably similar to a 2-inch lift. This middle mount, big heavy steel mount, welded right down the width of the chassis with bracing in behind, the factory rubber body mount there, and then tucked up in here the 2-inch body lift mount. And as I said, this was never designed for this body, so it's giving us lots of room, but it's very similar to as if it was on a normal body with a 2-inch lift, on a normal chassis, probably I should say. And at the front, yeah, we probably got carried away. So it was all cut off, all totally chopped off there, and this new pedestal made. Again, that's the factory mount. There's the 2-inch lift, bolts through nicely. It didn't have like a million extra nuts hanging off it. We haven't done anything more with the bumper mounts. I would like to see them done, but one step at a time on this particular job. And of course we did the same on that side, funny enough. Yeah, this is quite a big job, and it's 3/4 of a week's worth of work and time and organising and sorting and coming up with plans and making all this actually work. I've been to the certifier. He was happy via photos, as I said, but we'll see how it gets on the day. The next thing we're going to need to sort is these wheels. So we're going to take the wheels off, and we have to measure it up as per the recommendations and the requirements for low volume vehicle certification here in New Zealand. So these are a 24-inch wheel. We're allowed a 30mm spacer in here, but it's got to maintain a certain amount of offset. So that's going to be our next mission. We'll take them off and have a measure up, and hopefully we're now one step closer to actually making this vehicle all legal. At the same time, so gone is the tie down to hold it on, and well, the tie downs aren't gone, they're still there, but they were my ones. And they've little brackets built up, welded on both sides. I actually talked to the cert man about the tailgate, and the ruling is adequately secured. And he didn't think that tie downs were going to pass. He didn't feel that they were adequately secured. So he did suggest that we fix this. Which, hey, I don't have a problem, because I think it's nice to have a tailgate that, one, works, and two, that doesn't fall down. So that was just a little job that we tacked on while the mounts were getting done. I really did need to bring my box to get up into this vehicle. While I was test driving it, I also put a GPS on the speedo. and it is out by quite a lot, so that needs to be addressed as well. So there's both the tacho and the speedo to sort and get right. That'll be its own little job. I don't even know if this one's a cable speedo. And it is a cable speedo, so it's a matter of changing cogs in the box. We've also discussed the possibility on this vehicle of getting it certified for 2 sets of wheels, and I think that's a fantastic idea, because down the track, if it gets sold, it can have maybe a set of 16-inch 4x4 tyres put onto it. The four-wheel drive system is still present in this vehicle, so it would make a pretty mean off-road four-wheel drive 4x4 beast. Or it can have the big 24s for the Tonka toy look. And it just gives us more options later down the track. Customers will be the first to watch this video. They will have seen it. Hopefully they're all happy, and we'll get this one moving along and getting close to making it all road legal.